Hey guys, welcome back to the next video. In this video, we are going to look at the actual process of deployment. So your laptop has let's just say, for example, 1 TB hard drive with a 6-core processor with 12 threads for it to work with, 24 GB of RAM, and for your CentOS, you assign 50 GB hard drive and, 2-core, which is 4 threads and then 4 GB of RAM. And when you configure a managed server, for example, you have configured XMS, which is your heap, minimum heap is 512 and maximum heap is 1 GB. And your CPU is dynamically, the thread pool is dynamic, so you cannot actually consume the thread pool. But by an average, you can say 4 threads are processed by per CPU, so you have 2-core processor over here. So this is just an average stuff. So this is basically your RAM, your CPU, and then your hard disk drive. Out of 50 GB assigned to this CentOS operating system, this managed server is occupying, not managed server is occupying, but then managed server can use about 30 GB of a disk space, but I don't think it's going to use that much. Well, anyways, the home directory of your managed server is your domain home server, managed server 1. And then inside that, you have bin folder for binaries, log folder for logs, security folder for boot.properties, temp folder for temporary files, and data folder for node manager, security, and LDAP, and all those kind of data related location, stage 4 for your application. Now, when you deploy this var file, this deployment happens, and this, when you target this managed server 1 as the target, it goes and sits inside your stage folder. This what happens is when someone is trying to access this URL, say for example WLS host 1 8080 samples, it goes to the host name and port number which is established by your managed server 1. The host name, which is WLS host 1, and port number is 8080. Please ignore the typo over here. It didn't say 1 over here. So this is port number 8080. So when you access this sample context root is how you are accessing it, right? So it will look in your application which has the sample context root, and then basically it goes to the var file and it gets extracted to the temp data folder. And once your files are extracted, then it is sent to the CPU for processing. The sample servlet file will have multiple Java files inside which needs to be compiled. So it sends it to the CPU. Then the processed output goes to your RAM, and the other processed output goes to your temp file, which is your location. So the temp file is filled, and then the other processed file goes to your browser back again. So the request came in over here, and then the request is coming out after processing. This is what an application server does. Application server just doesn't give you the output. If it is the web server, very simple architecture. The browser requests for the data to the web server provides back the data. So that's very simple and straightforward. But here, in terms of an application server, the application server has to process the data. Sometimes in this scenario, the data which this browser requires is within this var file itself. So it just have to compile and give the output of the compiled output. Sometimes the browser will be asking you for the data from the database. Then in that scenario, it goes back, it executes a logic towards database, it loads the JDBC variables, it then uses the connection pool to connect to the database. Database should be available and it should be responsive, and there's a database response with the value. Then it takes the value, compiles that with the CPU and sends it to the RAM and sends back to your application. So a lot of logic is involved here when you try to understand what is the background process of an application server processing your request. All right, this is what I wanted to tell you in terms of deployment. Thank you again for your patience. You can access this document and try to understand this much more closer in terms of understanding the architecture diagram. I'll see you on the next video.